Hey there, it's Derek here from Pacific Coast Auto in Japan, and we're looking at a 2010 Subaru Impreza WRX STI. This one here is the GRB version with the 2-liter EJ20 engine. What's special about this one, and I didn't know this until today, but this one is an automatic transmission, and I didn't think you can get the STI in an automatic transmission. I knew you can get the WRX, but the STI on the earlier generation, not possible. And on this generation, I guess it is, but they are pretty uncommon from what I've seen. Very cool to see. Now, I understand that most people that like this car are probably going to be interested in getting the manual transmission, but there are people that want one in an auto, and so there are vehicles for you. Maybe you really like your manual transmission version of the car, and you want to have it for a daily, but you don't want to be shifting all the time. Or maybe you want one for your sister, or for your brother, for that matter. Anyways, 73,000 kilometers on this one. Makes it really low mileage. And we're just going to check the condition of the car. We'll compare it to the auction inspection sheet, and then we'll be shipping this one over to the UK. Now, from what I've seen, these engines tend to be really reliable. The EJ20 is a wonderful engine. We did have one. We've only had 2 cars in the several thousand that we've exported that had an engine blow. But we did just have one that had an engine blow. Not trying to jinx it or anything. It is very uncommon. This one is very low mileage and in very good condition. But it is a sad time when that happens. It turned out we could return that to the auction, thankfully. Okay, the oil and the coolant both look okay. The intercooler on this one is huge. I think that's about twice the size of the first generation STI's intercooler. And then you get a huge hood scoop. Now, the earlier model of this, like the GDB, it had what looked like a taller hood scoop. This one's kind of tucked into the hood nicely. But if you look at the height of it, here to here, it's actually a fairly large opening. And I think that for aero purposes, this hood scoop is actually a little bit more effective. And then from this generation, it's the beginning of the hatchback. And I remember when people, when this first came out, the Impreza is known as a sedan. Well, nowadays it's known as a sedan / hatchback. In some people's cases, the hatchback is the more iconic one to them. I quite like it. I like a fast hatchback, and there's no reason to not like this anymore now that everyone's used to it. I think a really great car. Inside, out, Subarus are great cars. Impreza makes a wonderful vehicle, and I think it's just a really good package. So let's go over the auction inspection sheet. This one comes from 2010 Impreza WRX STI A-Line 4-wheel drive. Auction rate 3.5. It says interior and exterior are both C, but I'm quite sure that it's in better condition than that. The interior looks like a B, the exterior looks like a B to me. So 73,022 kilometers, 5-seater. The sales points are purchased from user, TV tuner, reverse camera, an original Navi, original optional starter, like push start, toll collection box, original 18-inch wheels, cruise control, warranty papers, owner's manual, spare key, and remote control. Okay, the report here from the auction inspector. Front inner panel small dent. Yes. So, this hood is not a perfect match to the fender. The hood is a little bit tall in this section over here, and just a teeny bit in on this section over here. So, have a good look at that. It is a little bit of a bigger gap than you would normally get there. And I'll just compare it to the other side for you as well. The other side is very slightly off, but this is much closer to what it's supposed to look like. Now, you may not be able to notice it too much. It's not a huge thing. And then a very, very slight difference in this line here on both sides. It's mostly good. It's very slightly off. So the inner panel, in case you don't know, is what the suspension strut is attached to up here. So there's some metal in here that has been damaged, most likely because the front bumper has been hit, but it wasn't deemed big enough to require any sort of repair, hence why it's not an R grade. It is very important to make sure that you read and understand all of these notes from the inspector before you bid on the car so that you understand these things. So seat rip, small. It's really not too bad. I'll show you when we get there. Interior dirty. Underside surface rust, bumper underside scratched, exterior has very small scratches, and front reinforcement has been replaced, hence that. Now, the front reinforcement is basically like a piece of foam like high density foam that goes beneath the front bumper to absorb impact. That's been replaced. That's not part of the frame, and so therefore does not count as an R grade. R grade is only a frame repair. Since they didn't repair anything on the frame, no R grade. And you can tell it was a light accident if no frame had to be repaired or pulled or moved or any sections replaced. Okay, so P2 on the hood, which I'll just show you now. It's a little bit cloudy in this section. Probably repaint would be needed. If you're lucky, you can probably, or you might be able to polish. Look at the reflection. It's a bit cloudy in areas. Okay. And windshield rock chip. This is something I never really point out because windshield rock chip isn't a big deal. It can be hard to find. I'm not even going to go searching for that. Then the back door here is a W2 that's been repainted. I'll show you that in a second. This back fender looks okay. I just noticed that this one had been repainted. And the rest of the body is just like A1, which are minor scratches. Okay, so let's take you for a tour around it. So you can see it from all different angles. And now you can see it also like that gap there. You can see it from afar. It doesn't stand out until you're looking for stuff like that. Okay, the color of this one is pretty similar to the BC5 Legacy, which is the famous Colin McRae Legacy, first generation before the Impreza came out. And so it is something of like a Subaru color. I know a lot of people are like, "Ooh, WR blue, that pearlescent blue color that they use." Still a cool color. But this one, I guess, if you're into the history of the car, maybe a little bit more iconic. This kind of dark navy blue / I don't know if you would consider it purplish. Okay, hatchback gives you probably a little bit better of an overall package, easier to put stuff into the back. And especially when these cars first came out, hatchbacks were what rally cars were. They were only sedans up to a certain point, and then they were all hatchbacks, because why bother carrying the extra weight if you don't need it? Okay, so details again, nice hood scoop. Headlights are a little bit cloudy, both of them approximately the same amount of cloudiness. An STI badge. Even though it's an automatic, you can still shift your own gears with paddle shifters. It has a functional air curtain on the front bumper, so this intake here can vent here. And it has ducting specific for that, you can see. And the same thing goes on this side, so it is a symmetrical version. Wheels appear to be in good condition. I know they are the stock wheels, but they're not bad. And the tires, they're pretty low on tread, but someone decided to put Michelin Pilot Sport 4 tires on. I swear there's something weird going on with these tires and how good they are. If you have a chance to afford those tires, I highly recommend, especially if you are going to be driving around in the rain, which you will be if you're in the UK. I've never experienced a rain tire quite like this. Mind you, these ones are down to 20% grip left, and so they're not going to be as effective in the rain, especially in pooling water, because from factory, the compound I think is really good. They don't have a ton of channeling for the water because they are more of a sporty type tire. You wouldn't consider them a semi-slick, but they act like a semi-slick pretty much. Like the spoiler, it's slightly up at the back, and that's actually going to be an effective spoiler to reduce the drag on the back of the car. Hood's looking good. This side here, again, I forgot to show you that W2 on the other side. So while these ones apparently have been repainted, I don't think it's true. I think the auction was just mistaken there. And then they said this one here is a W2. And I can see it a little bit, yeah. W2 can be kind of bad, can be okay. So pay attention between this door and the door in front of it and how the reflections go. And you'll notice that the back door is a little bit weaker in paint. Not too bad though. Have a look. That looks fine. Most people aren't going to notice that. Okay, so the STI version of this has wider fenders, and you can totally see that around the taillights. The bumper and the fender have both been blistered out quite a bit. And then you get this extra, 2 inch, 3 inch, 4 inch, 5 inch, 6 inch, 7 inch, 8 inch, 9 inch, 10 inch, 11 inch, 12 inch, 13 inch, 14 inch, 15 inch, 16 inch, 17 inch, 18 inch, 19 inch, 20 inch, 21 inch, 22 inch, 23 inch, 24 inch, 25 inch, 26 inch, 27 inch, 28 inch, 29 inch, 30 inch, 31 inch, 32 inch, 33 inch, 34 inch, 35 inch, 36 inch, 37 inch, 38 inch, 39 inch, 40 inch, 41 inch, 42 inch, 43 inch, 44 inch, 45 inch, 46 inch, 47 inch, 48 inch, 49 inch, 50 inch, 51 inch, 52 inch, 53 inch, 54 inch, 55 inch, 56 inch, 57 inch, 58 inch, 59 inch, 60 inch, 61 inch, 62 vent here. The vent takes the high pressure away from the insides of the wheel wells, which can build up a lot of pressure. This reduces lift in the front end. That's the theory. And actually it is, it's not that it's just a theory. At higher speeds it actually does make a difference. Looks like we have an aftermarket exhaust. I'm not 100% sure on that. It just looks like it and kind of sounds like it. The Boxer has a really nice growly sound to it. And of course, being four-wheel drive, this will be a good car to use all year round. Let's go now into the trunk and the rest of the interior. So very, very usable space here. Of course, you can flip those seats down if you need even more space. So something like this works great as either a first car or like a family car if you need to do any bringing of things from one location to another. Plus if you have kids or something like that. Inside here is nice and clean, has a space saver spare, and let's see if we can get that to stop catching. There we go. Okay, and you can remove this if you want, this tonneau piece. It's absolutely removable. What's this? Oh, just a hook. Okay, close the trunk, into the back seats. And I think this generation is, I love all the Imprezas, but this one feels a little bit more grown up in the interior. Each generation got a little bit better. I think that you get a very decent amount of room in here, so it's not a compromise. I know, I'm a sports car kind of guy. When I get a sports car, I'm interested in how good it is as a sports car, not so much how it is to move people around, but lucky me, I get to have a minivan plus a sports car. I don't have to worry if people can fit in the back. If you have only one car and you need people to fit in the back, something like this absolutely works. Nice looking door cards in decent condition. I feel like these are also compared to the FRZ or the BRZ FRS or 8.6 cars, a better appointed interior that doesn't feel as cheap, even though they're made by the same company. Now the rips in the seat, look down here, there's a little crack right there. And there's little cracks right here. As far as seat rips go, that's not too bad at all. And then I don't think it's real leather. I think it's a vinyl that's made to look like leather, and then a synthetic. They're comfortable seats. They hold you in really nicely while you're driving. They say STI up there. Okay, steering wheel is in good condition. And you get these nice pedals, even though they're not a 6-speed manual. And let's start this so you can see what happens. The gauges do the little dancey thing. Whee! And the screen is a Strata unit, which had the Subaru logo on it. So it might be the factory one. It might be factory Panasonic Strata. I think that's what the auction sheet said. It's going to say that every time. That's this box here telling you to put that there is no ETC card in there. I want that not to beep, so I'll just leave that on. Okay, it has cruise control, which is kind of cool for an Impreza. The manual ones don't have that. Shift yourself buttons, or you can do it down here. Slide it all the way down and over, and then you can plus and minus. I don't know too much. I don't know too much about how these Sport and Sport Sharp modes actually change things. Maybe they do a lot, maybe they don't. Usually you'll get something like a quicker steering ratio or firmer suspension or better, sharper throttle response, or you can rev it a little bit higher before the thing kicks in, or maybe even change timing a little bit to give you a little bit more power. I really don't know though. Currently it's just on normal mode. You can do Sport or Sport Sharp. And Eco mode. You press it down and you get Eco mode. So I guess I just put it into Eco mode. Dashboard's quite nice. Not really much to say about that. You get a little clock up there as well as your fuel economy. AC works nice and well. Shifting is good. Power steering was good. This steering wheel's in excellent condition. Has the airbag in it. Carpets have these cool like designs. It looks like metal, but it's actually like a soft touch material. Got the same thing over here. It's nice. Now your center console here, it doesn't clip in. It doesn't look like anything's broken. This one here is what normally clips in, but it doesn't clip in. Just kind of sits like that. And that's just my keys in there. You have a cigarette lighter adapter in there, and another one here, so 2 of them in the front. It's kind of important. Okay, and the black stitching on the black, it's kind of interesting. I'm used to seeing the red stitching on the black for most of these STIs. The black headliner is good, and absolutely no smell of cigarettes inside here. There is no ashtray in it either. This is not a actual cigarette lighter. Okay, I have driven a GC8 WRX in auto. They didn't have the STI in auto, but this one here, being the STI and being the later generation, should be even faster. The Impreza that I drove was perfectly good, even with the 220 horsepower, whereas this has 280. And I've had a Legacy that had 280 horsepower, and it was fantastic to drive. So I suspect this would be very similar, if not a little bit better even. Okay, so that's going to be all for this one. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching, and have a nice day.